generation of what you dealt with or how you overcame, because like you say, there is a huge difference in, you know, where I come from and how we are now. Because for me, I'm tough, like tough-minded, but I've dealt with suicidal thoughts. I'm pretty sure everybody at some point has had those thoughts. So whether it's somebody bullying or whatever, there's a real conversation that needs to be had about why. Like, what's really going on to where our generation before us, like grandmother generation, our mama generation, can really stick their hands out and help us, but we also be willing to put our hands out to be lifted up. Because I do feel like there's a huge disconnect between generation and generation. A huge disconnect to where most of my generation is not willing to accept that help, because it's like, yo, you know, based on my experience with that generation, it's not something where it's welcoming to be like, hey, I'm suffering with this. Like for me as a boy, you know, and it's not from my mom or nothing like that, but men specifically in the older generation, don't cry, you're a boy. So now, when I grew up as a man, and I don't have that emotion, and I'm sitting here talking about, hey, I want to get married, I want to do this, I want to do that. I can't do that because that generation of men themselves, you better not cry, you better not show no emotions, you better suck it up. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so if I can't do that, give me a blueprint to deal with my emotions. So I think as a black man, for me, that's a huge disconnect when it comes to my generation to the next, as far as black men. Don't cry, don't show no emotions, no this, no that. But the women, when it comes to that specifically, I think I've had more success in showing my emotions because I'm more like my mom anyway. I won't show my emotions out, you know, outward, but inside I'm very emotional. But because of that, you know, I gotta walk around straight face tight. So I think now is more about having that conversation to find out where that disconnect is so that we can make that connection. Because if there's no connection, no matter what it is, electricity, whatever, if you don't have a connection to a source, if y'all are not connected, nothing can be done. So I think it's starting that conversation of where did we go wrong, where did we disconnect, so we can reconnect.
Absolutely. I agree with what he's saying because we're at a pivotal stage of where we still have our generation, and we were raised by people that survived the Great Depression, and that was our parents' age range, and our thought processes were different. So we're at a transitional point, I feel like, where there's still some old school folks like me that, it's like you said, you would never tell your boy, you don't cry, you buck up, you toughen up, you know, and they'll say you were seen and not heard. You didn't have opinions when I was a child. These children now have opinions. And I think where the disconnect is coming is because we have to, in my generation, not just look out, but listen more to what you're saying and not keep harping on these old ways of thinking. Now, I think as you become parents, your generation, it will eventually ease away from that because hopefully, you know, we'll kind of die off with some of these old ways, actually. So that's just my thought on it. But I think right now, the disconnect is the generational, the gaps in how you were raised. And we as older people have got to conform and think out and pivot a little bit. We don't want to change sometimes because when you get older, it's harder to change. And we have to be able to do what we need to do for this next generation and address, because especially, and it's cultural, because black people don't believe in going to doctors and talking about their feelings. We were all raised to suppress that, and that God is going to get us through. But sometimes you just need more than God, you know, and you're dealing with generational curses and things. So I think as our generation, we have to work harder to meet you more. Because I think you're coming out to us, but we're not coming to you with what you need.
I wanted to raising a son. I'm raising a male, and I don't open, because the way I was raised, she's right, I was raised, you don't say this, you don't say that, you keep everything in. But I was raised with him totally different. He know everything. So my bank information, he know how much I make and everything. Because I open that door, I think I open too much. I don't think of it. But I open up the doors for that because I want it to be a different than the way I was coming up. Because I always felt like something was wrong with me. There's something because I had these questions or I felt a certain way. And I'm telling my son, hey, talk to me, I'm here. You know, and I have to tell him no calls, no holds bar, you know, carte blanche. You can say whatever you want to say. But sometimes he still don't want to open up to me. And I'm telling him, hey, because he claims I'm judgmental. I'm like, whatever you say, you want to say. That's not going to change me being your mom. That's not going to change me loving you. I'm going to support you the best that I can. And if it's something that I don't know, walk us through it. Help me through it. Help me understand or to understand what you're going through. Because you're right. Because back in the day, we joned on each other. Jonah means talked about each other.
It does.
It does. That's what jonah means. Y'all don't know what y'all call it now. But so when somebody say, hey, you ugly, we used to say your mama, and then that'd be the end of it. So help walk me through about how you feel when somebody say you ugly. See, back when I was coming up, they couldn't cyberbully us or call us on the phone or say stuff. They did, but you know what we did? Click. We hung up.
Just hang the phone.
Just say we use somebody on social media, delete them off your page, unfriend them. But walk me through the challenge that you all had. And I tell my son that all the time. But I want to say to you young people, but I'm in the middle age. I'm right just above y'all, just a little bit. And I'm not quite up there with Gwen. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle age. But this is what I want to say. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness. Sometimes I keep telling them, you're so hard on yourself. You're not your mom and you're not your father. You're you. So don't let nobody, your mama or your daddy, force you what they had to eat, because your plate ain't their plate. You know, you eat what's on your plate. Don't take nothing off their plate. So many years I took the crap off my mama's plate and thought it was my burden. The way, oh, I was this and that because of you. I felt so weighed down. But that wasn't my plate. I didn't fix that plate. I ain't get none of that stuff that she up there eating, but she was steady feeding me. So don't let nobody put nothing on your plate. Don't eat nothing from nobody's plate. You got your own burdens. You won't have your own. So y'all deal with that, but you gotta forgive yourself and know that you are loved.
You know it. You know it.
Look, I know you know. Look, you got that smoke in y'all too. You be rolling your eyes like your mama be doing.
I really wanted to address the generational gap conversation, because I'm in between both of your generations, so I'm in the middle. One thing I think the difference is between your generation and their generation is that everything is put in the forefront. So in your day, there was suicide. People did take their lives. The difference is that it wasn't broadcast. There wasn't a system to make us aware of the tragedies and the amount of tragedies that took place even in your generation. So there was suicide, okay? And then not all black families preached, don't talk about it, right? So it is culture or known culturally that what happens in our house stay in our house. Yes. But even in our house, we are supposed to talk about it. So my grandmother who raised me, and like I said, I'm a 70s baby. I might not look it, but I am. Okay, nonetheless, what my mother wasn't able to get from her mother, she made sure she poured it to me. And that's what is missing with this generation. I think we as adults, as you mentioned, we had to heal from our trauma and experience, and so then it became a little bit more difficult to parent and to be able to express the needs and meet the needs of our children in the next generation, right? Thankfully, you are a good example that didn't affect you. And me, myself, I'm a proud mother of 6 as well. And so the ideal now is that regardless of what has been, it's important that we change it now. right? So talk about it, right. Whatever was, or what used to be can't be anymore. And so we have to be the change agents needed to make that change. And it may, we may only impact one person at a time, but that's one less person that's going to suffer or be impacted by that hush mentality. Excuse me, I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed. But that's, so let us all just choose, regardless of what happened in the past. Let's do what we need to do, today.
I'm so grateful for everybody who came today, just to share your stories or your opinions or whether you spoke or not, just to support. And I appreciate that. But at this moment, my cousin and I were out and I was preparing for this event. We were at Ruby Tuesday's cousin, and we were just sitting down and we were having a conversation about our lives and what took place in our families. And a mother and her daughter walked in. We ain't really paying no attention. We just kept talking, and we made a comment on the daughter's salad. So after that, we kept talking, and as we were getting up to leave, the mother turned around and looked at us. She said, "Wait a minute." She said, "I didn't mean to be in your conversation, but before you leave here, I need to pray for you." And let me tell you something. When this lady prayed, I'm telling you, our eyelashes was about to fall off. My cousin said, "Don't let me get a shot in here." So we just began to talk, and I shared my story with her about my son taking his life. And the thing about it is, little did I know that her daughter had, tried to take her life a few times. But this beautiful young lady is here, and I would like for her to come.
Come on.
Share a little bit of her story because for me, she's a living testimony.
Yeah.
Hi y'all, my name is Sierra.
Hi, Sierra.
Appreciate for you inviting us and being here and hearing everybody speak and having this much needed conversation. I guess I'll just start with me. When I was 16, I attempted suicide and I obviously failed. Thank you for it. It wasn't my first time trying, and all of them failed. The biggest thing that I guess if I can impart on anybody, especially for people that still struggle and are used to quieting themselves or shrinking themselves to fit into spaces that they may not necessarily fit into. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given is what you don't deal with deals with you.
That's right.
And it's going to deal. When you feel so deeply, and you see just the front of it, like say someone calls you ugly, or someone says you're fat, or someone says go kill yourself or something. That is just the fruit and just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much under that nobody else sees because there's not a safe space provided to speak about it.
That's right.
And even if there is, when it comes to yourself, to face those feelings, it's always seen as, oh, that's a cowardly act, it's so selfish. To feel that type of pain is drowning. It's waves that I can't even, I'm a writer and sometimes I still can't even write it. It feels like you're just walking beside yourself, you're an empty vessel. So that very day that I tried to, I'll never forget it, I made this decision that I was going to do it, and of course I thought that everybody would be okay without me. They would get over it, the Lord would heal them, the Lord would deal with them, my friends would be okay, my mother had her husband, everything would work out the way that it was. So coming from someone that's attempted is that the world would have been better off without it. There's nothing that I could have added to this life. There's nothing that I could give to somebody else. And I still deal with those emotions. I still deal with those feelings. The only difference between that and who I was then and who I am now is I was given the spirit of desperation to live.
Come on now.
Had I this may not always be the case, but the gutter is rubber and I always bounce back.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
I'm here today to speak to the people that may be struggling right now and don't want to talk about it. That may feel like I can't go talk to my mom, but I don't want to put that stress on her. I don't put that stress on my dad. I don't put my stress on my sister, or my husband, or my wife. It would be a lie to say that the older generation has never thought about it once. A passing thought. It may have been like, I'm going to go and actually commit it. That I feel like I don't want to wake up tomorrow. I feel like the world will be a little bit brighter without me in it. Everybody struggles with these type of feelings. Everybody struggles with kind of emotions.
Yes.
And the lie of it is that you're the only one feeling it. No one wants to hear that someone that they care about is struggling. No one wants to hear about that. It's hard. It's devastating. And how you were saying earlier about that accountability of stepping forward and saying, hey, I need help.
Right.
Sometimes we don't know what that help looks like. Sometimes for some people it can't be taking medication. It can't be talking to a therapist. It's not going to be the first therapist. Because first of all, the whole medical system for black people in general, we don't know what that is. But that's another conversation.
Come on.
Do several therapists.
And if it just starts with saying, I'm struggling, I need help. And knowing that your tears are not a sign of weakness.
Okay.
From the time that we're children, we're crying. It's because we have to learn emotional placement. I don't know what to do with this uncomfortable feeling. This a feeling unwanted, a feeling like I don't fit in, a feeling misunderstood. We don't know where to place that. So it builds up. It's like when you have a soda and you shake it up and it explodes. That's what you're just doing. You're shaking the issue.
Yeah,
And when we keep picking up the fruit, oh, it's just cyberbullying when there's a whole branch to it.
Okay.
As my Uncle Lewis says, we have to get to that root
Yes.
to get in the soil to plant something new.
Come on.
So there's always something under it. So when someone says, I'm hurting, what's that attached to? Where is that coming from?
Right.
It could be attached to daddy issues, mommy issues,
Yes.
assault that no one ever talks about. There's so many things that contribute to just the feeling of suicide alone. And that's a bad word. No one wants to say the word suicide.
Exactly.
No one wants to say the word self-harm. These are the conversations that we need to have, and I'm glad that we're starting to have, because this is what's going to change the black community as a
Come on
whole.
now. Come on now.
We take up most of the mental health community, but nobody
Yes.
talks about that.
That's right.
And yet we're seen as the strongest community. We rely on each other, we're a tribe. It takes a village to raise.
Come on. Come on.
And it doesn't stop when we graduate high school. It doesn't stop when we graduate college. We
Right.
continue to take care of each other.
Yes, yes.
And that's the reason why you were able to continue on.
Yes.
That spirit of desperation to live, to keep moving forward. And memory.
Yeah.
We're in a celebration of life, not a mourning of death.
That's right. That's right. Come on, girl. Come on.
And the thing about things, it keeps us alive.
Come on, girl.
It's just unresolved love that we haven't said, unspoken love, so they can feel what we speak today.
Yeah.
This is truly amazing. This is so deep. I gotta feel like come on, plug in.
Who God allows you to meet. Because, the day she met me, she hugged me like she knew me for a lifetime.
Yes.
And it was almost like getting a second hug from my son.
Yes. Come on
And that's,
now.
you don't understand how powerful love and caring about people is.
Yes.
I've always been that person. I've always loved and I always cared. And it got to a point where I hurt so much, I just wanted to shut it down.
Yes.
And I was on the podcast yesterday and, I had everybody in tears, but that was not my intention. The thing about it is, I realized that I went from my son's suicide to purpose.
Yes.
I'm walking in purpose, and my purpose is to help somebody else.
Come on. Come on.
To build my community.
Yes.
To save a life. For my children. For their children.
That's right.
Because I've been suicidal.
Yeah.
When I lost my son, I sat in the room and poured out the pills. My kids have been my life.
Yes.
And for me to lose him is a pain I can't explain.
Right.
But what I did realize is this, he was my cheerleader. He used to always say, oh, Ma, I got
Come on
you.
now.
Oh, Ma, I got you. And
That's
whatever
right.
I was doing, he was,
Come on.
that's my mama. That's my mama right
That's
there.
right, that's right.
So even though he's not here, he's still my cheerleader.
That's right.
So I'm pushing forward. And this might be the first, but it definitely won't be the last. And God is going to continue to build this path because I get discouraged. I'm like, look, I'm just here to help.
That's right.
I'm not here for wealth. I'm not here for numbers. I'm here to help because that's where my heart is. From my first son, who's standing in the back, that's my oldest son.
Oh, right now, give up to the oldest son. Make some noise. Yeah,
From my oldest son to the youngest.
that's right.
My goal is to help, and no, as a mother, I realize I don't always do everything right, but I'm big enough to apologize to my
Come on
children.
now.
And I'm glad that we have the relationship where they can come to me and talk to me.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't want to, but that's the thing we have to change.
Yes.
We want them to feel comfortable because one thing we don't want, I don't want anybody in this room to get that call.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want anybody to have to see what my daughter-in-law saw.
Yes.
She saw my son take his life. And she had to be the one to call me.
Yes.
So today, this is purpose.
That's right. Come on now. Come on now.
We're gonna get through it, we're gonna walk through it, we're gonna continue to build.
That's right.
Because it says, B. Smith presents, that's me. God chose me to do this.
Yes.
But it takes a community.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I'm just one part of it. But I'm gonna push. And if I have to pull you, I'm gonna pull you. I'm gonna press. If I gotta cry with you, I'm gonna cry with you.
Yes.
Whatever it takes to help my community. That's right. Because
Yes.
that's my heart. That's my heart. And nobody's gonna change that. So if one person would have showed up, I'd have still been pushing because I got a team
Yes.
pushing with me.
Come
I got my
on.
mom, the
That's
plug,
right.
my
That's
children,
right.
my Miss Deborah, now Sierra and her mom.
Yes.
My sisters, I mean, it's so many people
Yes.
pushing with me. So I'm not alone. So know that no matter what you're going through right now,
Right.
you're not alone. I tell people, my house is a safe place. And I got that saying from my ex-husband. He was my best friend till he died. He lived with me. And our last conversation, he said, Stank, you carry a lot of people. He said, but I need you to know that you're my safe place.
That's right.
And so I just want to be that for many other people. And my son left me with his daughter. Oh my God, she's a replica.
Yes.
Let me tell y'all something. Woo!
Come on now.
Her father gave me a run for my money.
Okay.
He gave me so much laughter as well. And I get to look at him every day. My Miss Deborah told me, she said, oh, every time you hug her, you hugging him.
Right.
So I had to embrace that because in the beginning, it was hard for me to hug her. It was so hard. But I'm growing and I'm healing and I'm gonna help her heal. And we're gonna have our struggles and we're gonna have our ups and downs. But I promise one thing, I'm gonna be there until my last breath.
Amen.
My grandbaby lost her parents, both of them, within 60 days. Her mother died October 4th. Her father died December 4th. She was 8 years old. So can you just imagine what she's going through right now? And I get mad at her, but she know I ain't going nowhere. That's why she do some of the stuff she do. Look at her over there laughing. It's not funny. It's not funny. And so she's an extension of my son, whom I still, the love never leaves. It never leaves. It never leaves. And I can still hear his voice so clear. And I asked God, I said, God, let me never forget. Because honestly, today started off rough, and I said, I just don't want to do this. And I could hear him clear as day say, Mom, we're not doing that. We're going to do this. You know, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for each and every person here. I'm grateful for each and every life. And I'm just grateful. I thank you guys. I love you guys.
Yes.
And keep praying for me because I'm not perfect, but I'm pushing. to purpose. Thank you, guys.
Hey, all right, give it up, give it up.
I'm sorry. I just want to let her know how proud I am of her.
Yes.
And she's come such a long way.
Yes.
And she know I got her back no matter what. I'm going to be there for her.
That's right.
She's not the baby, but she thinks she's the baby. But I just want you to know that Mama real proud of you, okay? And you keep doing what you're doing. As long as God give me breath, I'm going to be right there for you.
Amen. Give it up, y'all. Give it up for the great panel. They did an awesome job. And we still celebrating. So, let's give it for our panel. And next coming up is Brother Rico Jerome, who's going to do a selection for us. And a spoken word as he do his thing. And after that,
so stinking thinking almost got me sinking in some mental black hole. Seed planted in the ground gotta grow through shit. They gotta grow. Yeah. We all gotta deal with real life when it takes its toll. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Self-love said let it go. So I let it go, I let it go, I let it go, I let it go, I let it go. And that's what change your mind can do for your soul. Yo, I let it go, I let it go, I let it go, I let it go, I let it go. I got sunshine on a cloudy day, not just cause I smoke. That good shit. This ain't no psych, dog. I've been to a few jails, even a psych ward. Dark days, I would fight on dark days with no lights on. Tripping, anxiety gripping me just like a python. Losing my mom hit hard like Mike Tyson. Holding on to bad energy, not the way to keep your life long. Poor mental hygiene, quick way to get your life gone. I never would have made it. Gospel tune, I think right. You don't get trophies for suffering. That's when I begin to fight on. Let the bygones be bygones. Serenity, I pray for. Learn from the lessons my soul dearly paid for. Self-ministry, self-love, the epiphany, special delivery, ministry, energy. I let it go.
Let it go?
Yeah. I let it go.
Let it go.
Now I feel better, Joe. And my soul does glow. Yo. I was having losses frequently till I changed up my frequency. Then I ordered my steps like recently, and guess what? A brother bounced back decently. Well, how's about that? I learned from what life was teaching me. No pain, no gain. No flowers, no rain. When you heal off injured reserve, get back in the game. You heal up on injured reserve, get back in the game and just shake it off. Take a win and loss. Learn from them both. And get back on course. I let it go eventually, but I held on dearly. The same hell was better than the new heaven was, you hear me? Facing problems squarely, made my changes. Win some, lose some, that's just how life games. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. All I have is now, peace of mind is the victory. I broke shackles of the past, now I'm free at last. Shit off toxic shit like yesterday's stretch. My second half recovery is a better advancement. Big thankful to my God for all my second chances.
woo, give it up, give it up. Give it up for Brother Rico.
Whatever burden you are going through, God can take them all away. So put all